Hello to all my Facebook friends. um, Thanks very much for your positive reaction to my video on Friday night. Uh, it was the first, so it was going to be a very long one. I promise you that tonight's isn't going to be just as long. I'm sure that it actually acted as something that helped quite a few of you get to sleep. Maybe if you were still up at that time of the night. I'd also like to thank my compatriot in arms, my brother, Robbie Barry, for coming to my gig last night because thankfully I'm feeling a lot better health wise. But he knew that I wasn't feeling too well and he came to my gig, just to allow me to see, his wee face and that sense of familiarity, it helped me get through what would have otherwise been quite a difficult night, to tell you the truth. Uh, just lovely, actually seeing him. So thanks, Robbie, and I'll see you again soon. Um, so this video, there's not really much reason for me making these except for to just kind of say what's in my head at any given time. But I was actually thinking today about things that happen or sort of work out in a way that it could maybe be unexpected. Um, so I've got like two or three examples of that anyway. And the first one is obviously musically involved because I can't have you know myself doing what I do, and not sort of bringing music into it or art. And by the way, that's my brother and me, if you can see there. That's one. That's and I've just realised I'm wearing black. I've got one of the black paintings there and the grey background. But I'm not feeling black at all. I'm actually feeling quite good. I think that a lot of that's to do with the fact that this flu thing is lifted. Plus, I'm in a good mood after having seen Robbie last night. But yeah, so musically, things that maybe worked out, but in a way you didn't expect them. Well, even this is going to be one of those because you're probably expecting something different from what I'm going to tell you. But I'm not sure. Not too many people would have outside of the Northern Ireland music scene would not have heard of Mud Wallace. Mud Wallace, R.I.P. R.I.P. But he was, still is, regarded as one of the best producers in Ireland. A lot of people came to his studio to get their music recorded and produced and engineered to pristine condition. Different people, I mean, you're talking about the likes of Thin Lizzy and Van Morrison and bands of that ilk sort of thing that were pretty big. But and to tell you the truth, that's the reason why I decided that the first Storm Zone album was going to be recorded there because I had a few quid, and Mud's place wasn't cheap, but at the same time you were going to get what you paid for. But he was a perfectionist, although if you went into the studio you'd see wires hanging about the place, and if you touched some things, you'd get electrocuted and things, but everything was there for a reason. And I remember Keith actually playing this Telecaster that had once been played by Rory Gallagher or something, and but every time Keith plugged it in, there was like this horrendous buzz, but the tone of the guitar itself was fantastic. And I'm going, how are we going to get rid of this? And Mud just went, well, hold on a wee second, and he reached over and grabbed the lead and cut the two ends off it, ripped it down the middle, pulled out the inners of the lead, bore each end of the, put one end of the lead bare end around the pickup section of the guitar, and then just basically went round anything metal that he could find until the buzzing stopped. And when it happened to be a switch on a compressor or something, right, buzz, wire around that. Keith earthed, and off he went, and he was able to play the Telecaster. which I think got about 15 seconds of record or of actual time on the album. But he was a perfectionist, and it wasn't a case of in any way of I'm sort of trying to stretch things out, because the longer things take, obviously, if you're paying by the hour, you're going to be paying more money. But Mud wasn't like that. I mean, because you could be in Muds all day, from 10. Did I say 10 in the morning? I turned up at 10 in the morning, but sometimes it would be 11:30 before Mud would get out of bed and get ready and come into the studio. But yeah, it was beautiful, wonderful environment, and used to stay on with him, and after the sessions, and drink wine and have talk about the past and stuff. So it was a really good experience. But so the lineup for that particular album, there wasn't a Storm Zone at the time, so I think I've alluded to that in the last interview. There was Keith Harris was playing guitar, and myself obviously on vocals, Julian Watson on drums, Stevie Prosser was playing the keyboards, and Peter Mackin was on the bass. So surprise, surprise. Everything was going according to plan. Any sound that Mud needed to have on the bass, Pete could deliver. Keith was doing the business on any guitar, plus he is a really good guitarist, so everything there was fine. As I say, Julian had nailed the drums. Wow. And that was like you've seen how emotional I got about that. And thankfully, I had laid down enough great vocals, enough vocals for him to have something to work with. And Stevie Prosser played brilliantly. His keyboard skills are second to none. Still are, always have been. But Mud was after this one particular sound that Stevie could produce on his keyboard, but Mud didn't want it produced electronically. He wanted the actual real thing. And it was just this one thing, and it kept on really bothering him. And he went, "We need a Hammond organ on that. We need a Hammond." And I said, "Well, Stevie can." He said, "No, I don't want one of those synthesized Hammonds." He says, "I want the real Hammond organ." He says, "I've got one in there, but it's broken." And I was going, "Okay, but maybe we could get it fixed." And he went, "Well." So we went into the studio and took off this big tarpaulin, and there was an original Hammond organ, complete with the twirly speaker system. Because the thing that made the Hammond, for those who I was ignorant at the time, I just thought the Hammond organ was a dee. But the Hammond organ had to be plugged into this speaker system, and the speaker spun. And that created this unique sound with the speaker going round and round and round and round. But unfortunately, Mud's was broken. And I asked him, "What's the extent of the thing?" He says, "It just won't go on." And this, if you remember old cars, they had like a clutch or a what do you call them? I can't remember. It wasn't a clutch. It was a something that you used to have to pull in and out anyway. A choke, yes. It had and this Hammond organ had a choke, so you had to turn this key, to get the engine started up, and then fool about with the choke, and it would burst into life, like a sort of a car, and then the power would go to this speaker, twirl, 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 and then and all this sound could be. So I said, "Mud, whatever it takes, just get it fixed." Because if we've got to the end of this of the recording, and if you want these last few sounds to be perfect for the album, then let's get it fixed. I said, I'll pay for it." He says, "Oh, do you know how much it costs for those things to get paid or to get fixed?" And I said, I don't. But anyway, we rang a few people. One guy, some expert guy, who Mud knew, decided that he was going to come next day to have a look at it.